Hi, welcome to this presentation, Unlocking Meaning in Learning Games. My name is Daniela and I am very pleased to be here at People 2025. And also, thank you so much for joining. And well, let's start. First of all, we'll play a little game. So I will ask you to take a look at the pictures in the next slide and think of words or concepts that describe them. Write the words in the chat, starting with the last letter of the previous participation, and please wait for my signal to start writing. So here goes the next slide. Take a look at them and think about some of the concepts that you can see there and start writing. Go. I'll give you a couple of minutes, sorry. All right, thank you so much, and we'll take a look at those ideas in a bit. So please share in the chat, how was the game? Do you think that was really a game? Do you feel that you learned anything? Was the objective clear of this introductory activity? And finally, how do you think that it relates to the title of the session? All right, so I'll give you a minute, and meanwhile I'm going to share a couple of definitions here. So first of all, play is free movement within a rigid structure, and game is a structured play. These two definitions might seem a little bit broad, but we will start to look at them in a little bit more in depth in a while. So please just keep them in mind. And thank you so much for your participation. So here are two definitions that I want to bring to you. So on one hand, we have games in general. So games are systems in which players engage in artificial conflict defined by rules, and that results in a quantifiable outcome. And the definition that I am proposing here is for games, specifically for ELT. So a game is a system in which students engage in an artificial conflict defined by rules that require meaning negotiation to interact in their second language and get a measurable outcome. So as you can see here, meaning negotiation is our main point of focus, and we will see how we are going to unlock the meaning in learning games with it. So in ELT, meaning refers to the communicative value and purpose behind language use, extending beyond grammatical accuracy to include how language conveys real-world intentions, emotions, and ideas. So we can think about meaning as the bridge between thought and language. So what lies between those two elements is what we really mean to say. And that's why we have this image here, because sometimes we lose meaning in the way. So let's take a look at how meaning is approached here through the communicative approach. So the communicative approach, as you know, is sometimes now called as generic term or something that's kind of dated. But I think that the relationship that exists between games and the communicative approach is something that we can gain great insight from. So bear with me and we will see how. So first, the aim of the communicative approach is to gain the communicative competence, which means to communicate successfully, knowing what to say and how to say what to whom. The communicative competence has some subdivisions, but right now we won't take a look at them because the two aspects that are relevant to this presentation are these two: interlanguage and the affective filter. Interlanguage is the language that students or learners develop in between them starting to learn a language and then achieving the competence. And that is very important while playing, because you will see that sometimes it is necessary, well, not sometimes, most times students will have to come up with some strategies to be able to communicate, and that's something that we need to know and understand that it has a name and that we can deal with it in the classroom. Then we have the affective filter. The communicative approach is the first one that started taking emotions into consideration, how emotions came into play in the classroom, and that is something that we also need to be very mindful of in terms of games, because a lot of things come up while we're playing. Now, the characteristics of the communicative activities are, well, we have the first three, which are the main and the most important characteristics, which is to have an information gap, the opportunity of choice, and the student or learner has to be able to receive feedback and give feedback as well. And then we have these other characteristics. No, we should be using authentic input. The language should be a vehicle between what we mean and what comes out of our mouths. Then the variety, we need to use a variety of structures because that's the way in which we encounter language in the real world. Then we have self-expression. So students or learners should be able to express themselves through the communicative activities. The activities need to have coherence within them. They have to be well built as to have real, like the context has to match what we are asking students to do. And finally, cooperation. This is very important since the focus here is communication. Well, we need to do that in a group. So that's a way in which we describe that. I know that this is a very broad description of the communicative approach, but right now it is important for me that we are in the same page. Here we have ideas from different authors, and it's a wide span of time that it's comprehended in this slide. So I want you to be sure that these are the relevant aspects for us right now. Now, as we have seen the communicative approach, now we have to take a look at some game design principles. The first one is player agency and choice. So here we are going to start seeing some of these points of contact where the communicative approach and game design start to coexist. So first of all, the player agency and choice is something that we need to make sure that it exists. So the player needs to feel that it's an active participant in whatever they are doing, and also that they have a choice, that their choices matter, and that they matter in a way that we will see right after has to deal with some balance and purpose. So the stakes also have to be very clear. It's not the same when you are playing dice and you get a one, and then you know that one is going to cost you, for example, I don't know, if you have 10 coins and that's going to cost you 50% of those coins, and you are aware of that, because in a game that it's not well designed, that might not be very clear, and when you get there, it will be very disappointing and disengaging, which is the most important thing that we want to keep. It's the engagement. Now, we have to have dynamic feedback loops. What that means is that we have the system telling us back if what we are doing is right or not, or what's going to happen after we make this choice. So that is also something that we have in common with the communicative approach. Then we need to have a clear win state and a score system. Here I am making a difference between play and game, as you see, because I am making an emphasis in the win state and the score system. The reason behind that is that we want to take advantage of some of the things that neuroscience and also game design have brought to light, that the win state and the score system bring things from out of us that free play doesn't, and we cannot really guarantee free play in the classroom. So that's why. Then we need to have a balanced challenge and reward. What that means is that, for example, if you're playing a video game and you just defeated this huge monster, and instead of getting a reward that feels like, okay, you did something great, you just get like a tip, you feel again disengaged, and the game stops working. And also we need to have very clear steps to follow. So for example, I want you to take a look at this image here and picture it as a moment in a game. So do you feel that if you were this player, you would be, how would your relationship to the game design principles feel to you? So you would feel there because there's a net, but there's no a goalie, and there's a net between the player. There are no other players around her. So what do you think? Could you please share some ideas in the chat? All right. Thank you. So I'll continue. And here is a little bit of a summary of how the communicative approach and game design principles meet. So the main thing is that they are both searching for meaning. So in language, we're trying to find the way to communicate what we mean, while in games, we're trying to create a meaningful experience. And how that happens is within a system, the objective has to be very clear, choices are key, and the feedback that you receive enriches you and is the thing that keeps you going, and also instructions lead the way. So those are the main points where we find ourselves understanding the relationship between the communicative approach and game design, and that's how we are approaching some tool that will help you and unlock the meaning in games. Here I added a little bit of an asterisk to talk about some ideas from neuroscience, because now it's proven that our brain is designed to interpret symbols and create connections. I know that most of you might be aware of this, but it's important at this point to highlight it, because symbols are constructed to relationships involving perception, knowledge, emotions, and accompanying images. And I want to highlight how these ideas are very present in games and also in the classroom. We are trying to help children acquire some knowledge and have some emotions come into play. And also we try to accompany those things with images so the learning is meaningful.